beautiful people, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Gianna Lian, and today I'm basically going to be showing you guys how I annotate and the supplies that I use, how I go about it, what do I annotate, just everything all about annotating books. So I'm sure you guys have seen all over Bookstagram, Pinterest, everywhere, all these aesthetic pages of people writing and drawing in their books, and everything just looks amazing. See, I wish I could annotate like that, but I do still have a pretty fun and interesting way on how I annotate, and I wanted to share it with you guys in case you guys don't really know what annotating is, or you don't even know where to start. And a lot of you guys have actually asked me if I do annotate or how I go about it. That is exactly what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. But one thing to mention is that my eye is a little bit irritated. I don't really know what's going on, so if my eye's a little red, just ignore it. Filming must go on. But the first thing, before I show you guys some of the examples of the annotated books that I've actually done, I want to show you the supplies that I use and kind of what works and what doesn't. So for tabs, to start off, because I feel like that is one of the biggest essentials, I use these ones from Amazon. Trust me, I know I am in desperate need to order some more because I'm running out. As you can see, I just use them so much because they're my ultimate favorite. But these ones are just from Amazon. I'm pretty sure they came in a pack of like 5 for $10, which they've lasted me since the summer. Those ones are personally my favorite. They're super cute, and they honestly have so many different colors, and I personally am the type of girl that likes to match their tabs with the colors on the book cover. So I feel like it comes with lots of variety that you can kind of match the shades almost perfectly. I don't know. But I also have these ones that I ended up getting for Christmas. I haven't used them yet, but they're definitely different than the other ones I showed you. They're more of like a funky pattern and a different shape. I don't really know why I haven't used these as much. I feel like I just like my tabs to look a little bit more simple, but if you want your book to stand out more and have more character to your annotations, I would definitely recommend you use something like a little bit like this, where it definitely stands out more. And then the other tabs that I've recently been using, I'm actually using it as a bookmark right now. These ones have become one of my favorites as well. I actually have like pen all over them, but these ones are really good because they're just like the standard colors, and they're also pointed at the top, so you can really like point exactly to where you're kind of tabbing on your page. They're also see-through as well, so if you put a tab there, you don't have to worry about not being able to read the words if you want to reread that part. And I really like these ones, especially because this one comes with a lot more each color than these ones from Amazon. So those are basically the tabs that I use, but moving more into the supplies, I keep all my little supplies in this little bag that I got in an Ipsy package. I used to be subscribed to those, so I have a bunch of these, but it actually broke when I was coming down the stairs. It used to have like a little wooden ring to open and close, but it broke, so that's lovely. But I just keep all my supplies in here. I don't have too many, honestly. I like to stick to the ones that I constantly use over and over again. I definitely think one of the biggest essentials when it comes to annotating your books is you need to have a black pen that you're gonna fall in love with. If you have a good black pen, it makes the biggest difference when you're annotating your books. So first I'm gonna start off with my all-time favorite one. It's the Papermate Inkjoy in 1.0 millimeter. This is what it looks like. It's very popular. You can honestly find these anywhere, and it's just a solid black pen. It's literally my favorite thing ever. It is so nice to write with, and it makes all my notes in my book look perfection. Then also this one I also really like. It's the Studio Gel 0.5 millimeter, and honestly my mom got a huge container of these from the dollar store, and they last forever. This one's actually just running out, sadly, but I have lots more. So this one is also my favorite if I want to write in some things that need to be a little bit smaller, because this one is a smaller point. These are my two favorite black pens, but honestly you can use any black pen that you find in your house. It is not that serious. But if we're talking about other pens that I sometimes use, depending on how I'm feeling or the type of book that I'm reading, but I normally just use these two. They're the BIC BU3 grip in 1 millimeter. So these ones are bigger ballpoints, so they don't write as tiny, which I don't really like about these ones, but they are fun colors and they're actually really pretty on the pages. So if I'm feeling more colorful, then I will use these to write little notes to myself in the margins. I'll obviously still underline underline most of the stuff in black, but if I'm feeling fun that day or for that book, I will use these two. But moving into literally my favorite part of annotating, because I think it looks the most visually appealing, is the highlighters. I am actually obsessed with these ones. They are the MILDLINERs, and these ones are my favorite because yes, they are pretty expensive. I'm pretty sure I paid $20 for this pack, but it also came with 5 pens as well. They are gorgeous. They come in so many different colors. This is the pack that I got, but you can buy bigger packs with all the colors, and those ones are super, super nice. Even though you are spending $20, $25, $30, they will last forever, and they're just the best highlighters I think I've ever owned. I normally stick to using these 3, obviously, because they are the prettiest colors, but depending on how I color code my annotating for that book, I might switch it up a little bit, or I might use all of them, I might use one of them. Like, it all depends on what book I'm reading and how I'm feeling towards the book. Those are basically all the supplies that I use, but I also wanted to give a quick little tip because I love doing this and it honestly saves me so much time and it's just so much more convenient. Don't mind this. I really need to buy tabs. Maybe I'll place an Amazon order because this is looking really sad. But this is my favorite thing about these tabs specifically, is that it comes with a little tiny ruler on the side, as you can see, and a little bookmark tab. So you can use this as a bookmark, you can use it as a ruler, you can use it basically for all of the above in just this one little tiny thing, which is my favorite thing ever. So normally when I underline my books, I will use this little ruler built in because it's the perfect size and I don't have to maneuver the book and like risk bending it and stuff like that. I can just quickly underline it using this little ruler on the side, which is absolutely perfect. I definitely recommend these tabs out of all the tabs that I showed you guys. I'll definitely have it linked down below because it's just from Amazon, super affordable. Now that that is all out of the way, I can finally show you guys how I annotate and why I annotate the way I do, and just giving you guys some starter tips and tricks along the way as well. But when it comes to me annotating, it honestly all depends on the genre of the book, on the synopsis of the book. It just depends on how I'm feeling towards that book before I start to annotate it. So the ones that I have here, I just have a few examples, but they all are from different genres, so I can show you guys the differences of my annotations. The first one I wanted to show you guys is my most annotated book that I have done recently because it is one of my favorite books. So I did annotate Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This one is obviously a romance book, so here are my annotations for this book. It is pretty heavily annotated, but it's not super out there, trust me. I'm not one of those crazy annotators. I wish I had the patience for that, but I don't. For this one, as you can see, I have different color tabs, so I wrote a little legend, as you can see. So when I start my annotations, I normally write a little legend at the beginning. So as you can see, the pink was for Lily, which is one of the main characters. Then blue was for Lo because he's the other character, so it's the couple Lily and Lo. And then the light pink was Love and Cuteness because it is a romance book, so I knew there was going to be parts where my heart just melted because I loved it and I wanted to save it to go back to it potentially. And then the purple is just Relatable to Me, which I normally add that color for a tab in a lot of the books that I annotate because there's always going to be something in the types of books that I pick up that's going to be relatable to me. So that is kind of the legend that I normally follow for romance books. And then depending on other things that the book is going to talk about, I might have a specific tab for a specific thing. So it all just depends. For a romance book like this, that is kind of like the tabbing system that I use. But to show you guys some of the specific annotations that I did, hold on, let me change the angle. So this page here is actually a perfect example of how I annotate. So obviously you see that I put the tab because it was a cute little moment. I also wrote "aw" because it was so cute, and then I circled the part that I really wanted to highlight. Then I just underlined the whole quote. So this shows an example of basically the annotations that I normally would do for a part that I really want to remember. And then other times I'll just have things that I tab, underline. Sometimes if it's things like this, I'll mostly just tab the one part specifically that I want to highlight. And then as you can see here, I just underlined a bunch of different parts from this section because I wanted to save everything specifically from this whole section instead of just one paragraph. And then here's just a little example of my little notes that I leave. It's honestly nothing special. They're normally just comments to myself, mostly just funny comments. So I honestly don't put comments that are very serious. But moving on to another genre example, this is also another one of my heaviest annotated books. This is A Little Life by Gianna Sorry, girl. I didn't mean to mispronounce your name for a second. This one was one of the first ones that I really tried to annotate a lot because I knew that there was going to be a lot of serious, heavy topics in this book that I knew I wanted to save to look back on if I wanted to do a reread of this. So first I actually started off, you can barely see that, but I did end up tabbing each chapter because if you guys know anything about this book, you know that each chapter is very well highlighted. This is like one of them. This one's chapter 3, which is vanity. So I tabbed it like that so it would be shown at the top of the book. That was just a little quick touch that I did. I don't really know why I did that, but this is an example of how I used to annotate when I first started annotating and how I would leave the tabs barely sticking out so you wouldn't really be able to see them. But for this one, it was kind of the same thing. I did have a legend or like kind of a tabbing system for this one as well. So this tabbing system, obviously you can see because it is a more heavier book and talks about more heavier topics, I did have more tabs specifically for specific things. So I had one for G's because there was some parts where I was shocked and I needed to highlight those ones. There's my heart, which is most likely sad or just really devastating. Quotes, any quotes from the book that I really enjoyed that the author threw in there. Love and friendship, because this book does depict very heavily the importance of love and friendship. Then I just had 3 of the characters that stood out to me the most, which was JB, Willem, and Jude. Obviously, Jude's tab was mostly used for the character section because he is our main character and the whole book is focusing on Jude. Poor Jude. Jude literally has my whole entire heart. Here are 2 pages that I found of kind of an example of showing you how I annotated throughout the whole entire book. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, I found 2 different sections that I wanted to annotate on the separate pages, but for a lot of the annotations in this book, I would basically draw a line from the starting of a paragraph to the part where it basically finished. That's the whole section that I wanted to highlight and kind of remember, but then I would go through and underline throughout that little mini section all the parts that actually really stood out to me. So here's another example of that. As you can see, I made a line showing you the whole part that I wanted to remember, but then I underlined and tabbed the most important parts and kind of color coding them to remember when I go back and I want to find a certain thing. So it kind of just allows me to remember and be able to organize it in a way, which to me, I love that about annotating because it just gives that sense of organization that I can still do in my book. And here's another example of one of the heavier annotated pages. This one's also different because I didn't really add a lot of notes to myself in this one because I feel like when I was reading this book, I just kind of was speechless the whole entire time. I didn't really know what to think about this book, but I knew that I still wanted to tab it, underline it, everything like that. So this is a little bit of a different approach and a different example of annotating for me. This one is kind of the same thing, except this one I specifically annotated because of how relatable it was to me. So this one's pretty heavily annotated in the way that it had kind of everything, and I put in a lot of my own notes in this one as well because of how personal and relatable it is to me and how much I basically connected with the characters, if that makes sense. With this one, I also just went with more of a purple approach to it. Purple is my favorite color, as you know, so because this book is special to me, I wanted to give it more personality to me as well by making it all the tabs purple. But I obviously started off with a legend like I always do in my tabs, with just different shades of purple. It went from relatable, things that are like me, I do those things, funny, and lines I liked. This one, I don't know why, but I annotated this one in pencil, so I don't really know if you're going to be able to see the annotations, but I think because it was such a personal book, I didn't really want to put it in pen. I don't know why. This is an example. It's in pencil, so it's going to be so hard to see, but I just have like my annotation, and then I have like a little note that I wrote to myself there, and same with on this side, I just have like the line and then my little note to myself as well. So basically throughout this whole entire book, that is how I annotated this one. Also for this one, I'm pretty sure I circled a lot of the words, like if they were trigger words, if they were just words that really made sense and made the whole story flow, I just circled them because of like the importance of them. So basically, to wrap up this way of annotating, this is how I mostly like to annotate, is when I can find books that I relate to. That is my favorite way of annotating because I can really just pour out all my thoughts onto the pages. And then the last one I just wanted to show you guys guys really quickly if you had been with me by Laura Nolan. This one, I didn't really know how I wanted to annotate it, but I did know I wanted to do something instead of just read it. So obviously you can see I'm not that far in. I haven't been tabbing too much, but for this one, I'm just tabbing specific parts. I'm not underlining, not highlighting or anything like that. If I do really do enjoy this book, then I will definitely be going back to highlight, underline it, everything, write in my own thoughts and stuff. But for this one, I just chose to just use some regular blue tabs and just tab the parts that I like that I might want to go back in the future. But yeah, so this one's just really simple. There's no specific way and no really thought towards it. But that is basically how I annotate, kind of the supplies I use and everything about annotating. Basically, I just gave you a little bit of a starter guide almost, just showing you exactly how I do it. Obviously, like I mentioned, annotating is very personal depending on the person, depending on how much they really want to put into it. So everyone's going to have a different way on annotating, but this is specifically just how I've kind of been doing it. Obviously, I want to venture and try different ways maybe in the future, maybe get more specific and get more aesthetic, if you want to call it that. But for now, I'm really liking how I've been annotating recently, and it just adds so much more personality to the books that I read, which I absolutely love about annotating. But overall, I really hope you guys learned something new and maybe are more interested in annotating if that's something that interests you, and kind of giving you guys an idea of where to start if you guys are interested in doing something like this. I wanted you guys to let me know down below if you guys have ever annotated your books, if you do annotate your books, and kind of the ways that you do it, because I would love to be open to trying new ways, seeing if I like the ways that you guys do it. But I think that is all I have for you guys today. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys did, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff you guys know how to do. And with that, I hope you guys are having an amazing, wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye! What is on here? There's like string. Talking for 8 minutes, that's not terrible. Of how I annotate. Hello? That's not depicting it very well. Hold on. I don't know what my thought process was, but